Hi Nana. Today we are going to learn about the factors responsible for the formation of ionic or covalent compounds. So, what are the factors which are responsible for the formation of ionic or covalent compounds? So, several factors that play a role in the formation of ionic or covalent compounds. We will learn about those factors. So, the first factor is electronegativity. Electronegativity. So, if the difference between the electronegativity of the combining atoms is large, so that means difference in the electronegativity of combining atoms if the difference in electronegativity of combining atom increases, that means if the difference is large, then a chemical combination takes place with the transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom. So in this case what happens? So here chemical bond or its chemical combination. In this case, so under these circumstances, so chemical combination or chemical bond takes place, okay, by transfer of electrons okay, by transfer of electrons from one atom which atom? From one atom, which atom it is? Metal. From one atom to another atom. So what is the other atom? The other atom is non-metal. So always electrons will move from metal to non-metal. So transfer of electrons will take place from metal atom to non-metal atom. So as a result of this one, what happens? What is resulting in the formation of opposite charged ions, thereby ionic bond. Okay, so here finally ionic bond is formed. So whenever so under what conditions so ionic bond is formed? So electronegativity. So if the electronegativity difference, so delta indicates difference. If the electronegativity difference of combining atoms is large, so how much? Large means how much? Generally, if the electronegativity difference, if it is greater than 1.7, so this is important. If the electronegativity difference between the combining atoms is greater than 1.7, then ionic bond forms. Example, if you take electronegativity of sodium is equal to 0.9, okay, and chlorine is 3.0. okay, electronegativity values of sodium and chlorine is this. So what is the difference in electronegativity? The difference in electronegativity is 3.0 minus 0.9, so it is what? It is equal to 2.1. So 2.1 is greater than 1.7. Therefore NaCl NaCl forms ionic bond. NaCl forms ionic bond. Okay. So NaCl forms ionic bond. Hence it is called ionic compound. Hence it is called as ionic compound. Okay. What is ionic compound? The compound which contain ionic bond is said to be ionic compound. And finally therefore forms ionic compound. So like this. Okay. So in this way, so this is an example. Where if the electronegativity difference is greater than 1.7, then it forms ionic bond. So electronegativity difference is the factor for the formation of ionic compound. What is ionic compound? The compound which contains ionic bond between the atoms is said to be ionic compound. Suppose if the electronegativity difference is small, if the electronegativity difference of the combining atoms is small, if it is small, what happens? So here then sharing of electron takes place between the atoms. Okay, so if the electronegativity difference of combining atoms is small, okay, so the sharing of electron takes place between the atoms. So resulting in the formation of covalent bond. Okay, and therefore covalent compound. Therefore covalent compound is formed. What is covalent compound? The compound which contain covalent bond between the atoms is said to be covalent compound. So what is covalent compound? The compound which contains covalent bonds between the atoms is said to be covalent compound. So how covalent bond is formed? Covalent bond is formed due to sharing of electron pairs. Actually electron pair we have to write. Sharing of electron pairs takes place between the atoms. So here what type of atoms? Between the atoms means, so generally between two non-metal atoms. Generally between two non-metal atoms. So between two non-metal atoms, so the bond formed is said to be covalent bond. Okay, that means if electronegativity difference is high, it forms ionic bond. If the electronegativity difference between the combining atoms is small, then it forms covalent bond. Therefore the compounds are ionic compounds and covalent compounds respectively. Okay, right. So what is the next factor? The next factor is ionization energy. The second factor is ionization energy. Okay. See, if the difference in the ionization energy is large, So, for example, if ionization energy is large, if ionization energy is more, uh, so if ionization energy is small, less, it forms, okay, ionization energy is less. If ionization energy is less, then that atom forms what? Cation. If ionization energy is less, then that atom forms cation. If ionization potential is more, then it leads to the formation of anion. Okay. If ionization energy is more, then that atom forms anion. Okay, that means one atom should contain less ionization energy and another atom should contain more ionization energy. One atom should contain less ionization energy for the formation of cation, and another atom should contain more ionization energy for the formation of anion. Therefore, the difference in ionization energy of the two atoms, if it is more, the difference. So here, if these are the conditions, then the difference will be more. Difference in the ionization energy of this atom, that means here metal atom. Actually, which atom? Here it will be metal atom, and here it will be non-metal atom. Okay. So if the difference between the ionization energy is more, what happens? The more chance of ionic compound. So more it increases, then chance of formation of ionic compound increases. Chance of formation of ionic compound. So there is a more chance of formation of ionic compound if the electronegativity difference is more. Suppose if the difference is less, if the ionization energy difference is less, what happens? Chance of formation of covalent compound. There is a chance of formation of covalent compound, or else simply, so formation of covalent compound takes place. So like this, simply, if ionization energy difference between the two atoms, the difference in ionization energy of the two combining atoms, so that means one atom should be more and another atom should be less. So in that case, the difference is more. So if both the atoms have more ionization energy, then in that case the difference will be less. Then in such case the formation of covalent compound takes place. Okay. Ionization energy. So based on the difference in ionization energy, so whether the formation of ionic or covalent compound takes place. So ionization energy is another factor which will decide whether to form ionic compound or covalent compound. The next factor is electron affinity. So electron affinity. Simply EA. If the difference in electron affinity is great, so then what happens? It leads to the formation of ionic compound. Ionic compound is formed. If the difference in electron affinity of the two atoms is small, then covalent compound is formed. Those two atoms will form a covalent compound. So like that. That means it's the difference in the electron affinity of the combining atoms. If it is more, if it increases, then those two atoms or else two or more atoms, they form ionic compound. So in this way, electron affinity is also another factor. Next factor is metallic and non-metallic character. So fourth factor is metallic and non-metallic character. Metallic and non-metallic nature. See the two atoms. So one atom, if one atom is a metal, if one atom is a metal and other atom is a non-metal. If one atom is a metal and another atom is a non-metal, okay, then the compound formed between these two atoms, then the compound formed is ionic in nature, ionic compound. Then the compound formed is ionic compound. Okay, so this is the one case. And another case, if both the atoms are non-metallic nature, if both the atoms are non-metallic in nature, then